What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to my Week 15. We're into Week 15 now. My Week 15 episode of my weekly NFL pick show for the 2012-2013 NFL season. You might notice I put up this video a little bit later than I normally would. I usually like to have the video out on Tuesday. Now it's not getting out until into the early evening on Wednesday. And to be perfectly honest, I was putting the video off just a little bit. And the reason that I was doing that was I was trying to get a little bit of input from other people that do picks. Week 15 is filled with trap games. There are so many difficult to call games that are going on this week. There's so many different dynamics in these games that honestly it's really hard to predict. Like, I have aside from my 4 lock picks, I have no fewer than 8 of the other 12 games this week that I'm just like, yeah, but. So I mean, it's this week's picks, you may want to completely disregard them because they may in fact all end up being wrong. It is entirely possible that that could happen, but we're going to try to traverse it here for you. Honestly, right now in the NFL, let's face it, the only thing that really matters right now are the playoff races. So rather than talk about some of the stories from last week, let's just get into looking at the playoff picture as it sits right now. We're going to start by taking a look at the AFC. The AFC, of course, the AFC East, the Patriots have clinched at 10-3, as well as the AFC West, the Broncos have clinched at an identical 10-3. But we look at the North and South, and the North and South, especially the North, but even the South, they're not quite wrapped up just quite yet. AFC North, the Ravens lead that division at 9-4, but they're on I believe a 2-game losing streak, so that division is still kind of up in the air, but the Ravens are up 2 with 3 to go on both Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, who both sit with identical records of 7-6. Probably a pretty good chance the Ravens are going to win that division. The Ravens should only need to win one more game to win that division, or have Pittsburgh or Cincy lose another game, and that should pretty well wrap things up for the Ravens. But they definitely want to get another win there just to make things a little more comfortable. And I'm just going to nudge you guys over here just a little bit. There we go. And taking a look at the South is all but wrapped up. The Texans, of course, lead that division at 11-2, but they do have the Colts, who are there at 9-4. So I mean, if the Colts win out and the Texans lose out, Colts win that division. That is very unlikely to happen. But of course, Texans are up 2 with 3 games left on the Colts in that division. We take a look at the AFC wildcard. As it sits right now, the Colts hold the first wildcard position at 9-4. They're up 2 with 3 games left on both the Steelers and the Bengals, who are in there for that second wildcard spot. I think the Steelers hold the tiebreaker. I might be wrong in saying that. But you're looking, the second AFC wildcard spot is totally up for grabs. You have no fewer than, I think, 5 other teams who still mathematically could sneak into that last wildcard spot, which makes the remaining games for the rest of the season really exciting. You have, of course, like I said, the Steelers and the Bengals are both at 7-6, so that could flip-flop either way for the rest of the season. Whoever is in that second wildcard spot, which again I believe was the Steelers with the tiebreaker, they're only up 1 game on the Jets, who are 6-7, and they're only up 2 with 3 left on the Bills, Dolphins, Browns, and Chargers, who all sit at 5-8. So as unlikely as it would probably be for an 8-8 team to get that second wildcard spot, mathematically it is still possible that it could happen. So you still have to make mention of it. I think obviously the Steelers and the Bengals are the ones that have the inside track on getting the wild card. That being said, the Jets have an easy game this week, so the Jets can really put pressure on those teams up above them with a win this week. In the NFC, only one team has clinched. The NFC South, obviously the Atlanta Falcons, have clinched that division with an 11-2 record. We look at the, let's take a look at the NFC West, because that's been an interesting division all year. 49ers lead that division with a record of 9-3-1. They have a game and a half lead on the Seahawks by way of that tie. Seahawks sit at 8-5, so even if the 49ers lose this week and the Seahawks win, the 49ers will still be up by that half game by virtue of that tie. They'll be 9-4-1 versus the Seahawks, who are 9-5. So they'll still have that half game edge there. And the 49ers are up 3 games with 3 left to go on the St. Louis Rams, but you have to keep mentioning the St. Louis Rams because mathematically they're not out of it, because if the Rams won out, the 49ers lost out, and the Seahawks didn't get to 10 wins. So if the Seahawks lost 2 of their last 3 games, St. Louis holds the tiebreaker over the 49ers, I do believe. The Rams could still fucking sneak in there and win that division. I believe they're mathematically still alive, so you always have to keep mention of it. Look at the NFC North, one of the most exciting divisions all year, and a division that I think is going to come right down to the wire. Actually, the East and the North, I think, are probably both going to come right down to the wire. You got the Packers currently leading the division at 9-4, holding the tiebreaker on the Bears. They're up 1 game on the Bears, who are 8-5, up 2 games with 3 games remaining on the Vikings at 7-6. So again, I think as far as who's going to win the NFC North, I think it's probably going to come right down to the last day. I think these guys are going to be very, very close going right into it, and it's going to depend who wins their Week 17 game to see who ends up snagging that division. And then, of course, we take a look at the NFC East. That's been a clusterfuck all year. I don't know if it's a matter of there being more parity in the East or if there's just teams underperforming in the East. It's one or the other. Giants lead the NFC East with a record of 8-5. They currently sit 1 game up on both the Redskins and the Cowboys, who both sit at 7-6. The Redskins are really coming on here. They need, of course, to worry about that knee injury to RG3, but they're really, really coming on here. Taking a look at the NFC wildcard, right now the Bears and the Seahawks sit with the 2 wildcard spots, both sitting at 8-5. They are up 1 game on the Redskins, Cowboys, and Vikings, who all sit at 7-6. They're up 2 games with 3 games left on the Bucks, who sit at 6-7. So mathematically, Bucks are not out of it. And you have to mention, they're up 2.5 with 3 games left on the St. Louis Rams. I can't believe at this point in the season we're still saying the St. Louis Rams have a shot to make the postseason, but mathematically, looks like they still do. I want to pose a question to you guys. I like to do that every week. Who are your AFC and NFC bye week teams? Not to be coercive to you, but I will mention the teams that I think best have it. In the NFC, I think it's probably going to be fairly cut and dry. I think it's going to be Atlanta, and I think it's going to be San Fran. I think San Fran is too good a team not to win that division, and based on the other division leaders, I think San Fran will probably end up snagging that second bye week. AFC is not quite so simple. I mean, you have the Texans, who are right up there at 11-2, but the way the Texans looked against the Patriots, that might be a sort of a chink in the armor of that 11-2 team. I don't think Houston's going to end up getting a first-round bye. As crazy as that sounds, I think the 2 first-round byes are going to go to the 2 hottest teams in football right now, those being the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. I think they're going to keep rolling right through pretty well to the end of the season, and I think they're going to snag those 2 AFC bye spots in the first round. But I want to know who you guys think are going to get those 2 bye spots. Let's take a look at the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks from last week. That would be week 14. We'll start with the platinum pick. I had San Fran beating Miami. They definitely did that. 27-3. San Francisco with the dominant performance there. My gold pick, I had the Denver Broncos beating the Oakland Raiders. No worries there. They doubled them up, 26-13. My silver pick had the Seattle Seahawks beating the Arizona Cardinals, and boy did they ever. 58-0. It looked like what would happen if even the best college team in the country came up to play the worst team in the NFL, even though everybody was saying, oh, Bama could beat Jacksonville. And it was like, no, it would have been a game that looked like this. Seattle just steamrolled them. I believe they had their defense caused 6 turnovers and 2 of them for scores. 58-0. Seattle rolled. My bronze pick was Cincinnati beating Dallas. That one didn't work out. A last-second field goal by Dan Bailey for the Cowboys got them the win 20-19, so I lost out on my bronze pick there. With 3-1 on my lock picks this week, that gives me a lock pick record of 44-12 overall on the season on my 56 lock picks. Taking a look at the public and the private pick'em and how the rest of my picks did in week 14 of the NFL. Week 14 was a successful week. I was 11-5 in week 14. Right and wrong are going to be right there for you. On the season, I sit with a record of 128-79-1 because of the tie, sitting in the 82nd percentile on Yahoo, which is excellent. That's definitely more towards where I want to be. Taking a look at the private pick'em now, I remain in third place out of now 11. We picked up another person on the way here, so we're now third place out of 11, sitting with 1,082 out of 1,657 possible confidence points, a clip of about 65%. Now, in week 14, I raked in 93 of 136 confidence points, a percentage of only about 68%, but that was good enough to win the week. Week 14 winner was Bridgewater's Finest, 11-5 on the week again, 93 of 136, 68%. Tom Mullins remains the overall leader, but the gap definitely closed. Tom sits with a record of 133-74-1, sits with 11-17 of 1,657 possible confidence points, a clip of 67%. So if you do the math there, we're only looking at a 35-point gap between me in third place and Tom in the lead. So it's a very, very close gap there heading into the last couple of weeks of the season and into the playoffs. Now let's take a look at the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks for week 15, my lock picks. Now, as I said, this week had a lot of really perilous games that really could go either way, so I've done something different for these picks this week. In the past couple of weeks, I've had some comments that have come up in the comments section on some of the videos that maybe I'm picking some easy games for my lock picks, and it's probably a legitimate criticism. I don't have the names of the people here, but it's probably a legitimate criticism because, again, I base them on confidence, and I'm more confident going with teams that are going against poor teams. Like, I mean, I've picked on Kansas City, I've picked on Oakland, I've picked on Jacksonville, you know, so I mean, I've picked on some pretty easy prey teams here on a lot of my picks. So what I've done this week, rather than pick the 4 games that I'm necessarily the most confident in, I'm picking the 4 games that I'm really going to take a stand on and really going to say, these I think are the 4 most exciting games this week, and this is the way that I think these exciting games are going to go down. So these lock picks are extra special for week 15. We're going to start with the bronze pick, the New England Patriots at home playing the San Francisco 49ers. Now, New England, of course, coming off that Monday nighter where they plastered the Houston Texans, a great defense. New England looked phenomenal in that game. They were getting touchdowns from Brandon Lloyd, touchdowns from Aaron Hernandez, a touchdown from Dante Stallworth, for fuck's sake. So they really diversified the offensive attack there, and the offense just looked phenomenal, making an elite defense in the league look very pedestrian. They're playing at home in prime time on Sunday night, welcoming another elite defense in the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be another one of these really, really tight games, and this was a game that was difficult to call because Kaepernick had a bounce-back game last week for San Francisco, and their team looked very good. I just can't see New England losing at home in prime time. This has to be deemed as an important game for them. They know they have a shot, albeit an outside shot, to get one of those bye weeks in the first round. Belichick wants that bye week, I guarantee you. I see New England winning this game at home. I'm going to take the Patriots to beat the 49ers. I believe it'll be a close game, but I'm going to take them to beat the 49ers at home for my bronze pick. My silver pick, the Baltimore Ravens playing at home against the Denver Broncos. Again, Denver, probably the hottest team in football right now. They're right up there with the Patriots. You know what? Everything's going right for the Broncos. Peyton is playing some of the best football I've ever seen him play. They've even got, as Christina has dubbed him, Slow Sean Nogano, looking like a worthy starting running back, even though it takes him, I think, 30 carries to get over 100 yards. But still, he's producing and he's putting up yardage on the ground. They got Demaryius Thomas looking like Roddy White. I mean, they've got their whole team going, and that ever-present danger of Elvis Dumervil and Von Miller just wrecking your quarterback. I look on the other side. I look at Baltimore. Flacco is playing inconsistently. Ray Rice is playing well, and of course had that great 4th and 29 play to keep that game alive and win that game a couple of weeks ago. It hurts to try to pick a game like this because not only do you have all those elements, you see like one team going in this direction, which is Denver, one team arguably going in this direction, which is the Ravens, but then you take into account the Ravens are playing the game at home, and the Ravens are damn hard to beat when they're playing at home. Denver, I don't think, is going to take their foot off the pedal for 1 second. I hate picking against Baltimore at home. I really do. I don't like to do it, but I'm going to do it. Denver, I believe, will beat Baltimore on the road, and I will take them for my silver pick. My gold pick, the Chicago Bears playing at home against the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay going into Soldier Field. Green Bay has traditionally kind of struggled in Soldier Field, and I think that's probably going to ring true again here this week. They may very well have Jordy Nelson back, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. The run game has looked a little bit better for Green Bay. The defense has looked a little bit better for Green Bay. Green Bay's really at the point of sort of finding themselves, but honestly, I think Chicago is pissed off by the fact that they've lost, I believe, 4 out of their last 5 games, something like that, if I'm right in saying that. And that, again, that has to just flat out just piss them off because they know they're a better team than that. They're going to go into their home stadium. They're going to put on a show against the Packers. Not necessarily a romp, but I believe it will be a 2-possession game. I'm going to take Chicago to beat Green Bay at home and take them for my gold pick. And the platinum pick, maybe this one was a little easy, maybe. The Philadelphia Eagles playing at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Philadelphia won their game last week, so maybe they might be getting a little bit of momentum about that. Both LaShawn McCoy and Michael Vick passed their concussion tests. Now, of course, we say Nick Foles is not going to lose his starting job to Michael Vick for the rest of the year, so it's Foles from here on out unless he gets injured. But getting LaShawn McCoy back is definitely going to help this Eagles offense. And the defense played not too terribly there in that win last week. My big stance here is Cincinnati is a playoff team. The Cincinnati Bengals, I would say even more so than the Steelers, Cincinnati is a playoff team. They were a playoff team last year. I firmly believe they will be a playoff team again this year. And in order to do that, they need to beat the Eagles this week. That division and the wild card is too close to leave anything to chance. They need to win this game and put the pressure on the Steelers, who are playing on the road in Dallas this week. They need to win this game. They need to put the pressure on. They can beat the Eagles. I think they're going to beat the Eagles. I'm going to take Cincinnati on the road to beat the Eagles for my platinum pick. Now let's take a look at the rest of my admittedly really wonky feeling and scary Week 15 picks in the National Football League. Please be gentle. That's the Week 15 show for you folks. Comment, hate, and love in the comment section below. Of course, a shout out, as always, to Geo Knows, as well as Frank Caruso, guys that I did a Google Hangout with there a little while back. I've missed the last couple that Geo has done. Hopefully get one in maybe later this evening, even though it'll be too late for the pick show, just so Geo can tell me how terrible my picks are probably going to be. But that's it for me. Week 15 in the NFL. It's going to be an exciting one. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Please, please, God, be gentle this week.